Amazing. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Friends Talk Tours. We've been doing these all year round, and we're like officially past the middle of the year. So this is the seventh, no, actually the eighth, because we did two in April, I think. And every month we are bringing another person to the virtual stage to talk about a tool that is not necessarily a community tool, but can help build your community and hopefully be more productive so that you can spend other time doing other things. And today we have got a very special guest joining us who's going to be talking about Sprout Social. But before I bring them on, I always forget to do this, and that's introduce myself. I'm Valentina. I'm the host for the Friends Talk Tours series, and I am an event host, event manager, anything to do with events. I'm there. If I'm not organizing them, I'm hosting them. I'm attending them, sorry. All day long, events is my jam. So if anyone ever wants to talk about events, feel free to get in touch with me. But I don't want to waste any time because we're all here to learn all about Sprout Social. So Silas, welcome to the virtual stage. How are you today?
Thank you very much. I've been doing great. I'm moving next week, so it's been very chaotic, very busy for me. But I did sign up for this, and I really looked forward to talking about Sprout, because that's
Well,
not necessarily a community management tool.
well,
And it's
we appreciate you taking the time out during this really busy time. And yeah, I'm really interested to learn more about this because I think there's a lot of untapped tools that us as community builders don't know about. Maybe because we don't know how to use them, we don't have time to use them, and that's the whole point of this series. So tell us everything.
I think right out of the gate, a social media management or social media engagement tool such as Sprout will help you form your communities. And to better visualize that and better explain where I'm coming from, I'm just going to be giving you guys a little slide deck and a little live demo on the whole thing. Because zooming out, I'll share my screen to start, and then we'll move on from there. Let's go. I think everybody sees my screen. If you don't, feel free to hit me up. But yeah, community management tool, Sprout Social. And you can already guess from the subtitle, social engagement into community management, is I will be talking about how to draw in more people from your engaged audience online into your community management platform. About communities, I believe, and I think, again, to visualize better where I'm coming from, is it can be done in various ways. Everybody has their preferred way of doing it. Some companies use email marketing after a sale. Other companies, such as the ones I work with, do it through social media and social engagement. But how I did it, my process in that entire thing stems from a very old-fashioned way of thinking, because this is the about me slide. I think if you've been into community management for a while, that logo might strike a resemblance. But I was 15 years old when I started building my own first community on a platform called, well, not really a platform, called PHP It's open source software that makes bulletin boards, and you can customize it, and then you can draw people into there with a specific interest, such as horses, for example, or online gaming, to create content within an exclusive zone and build relationships within those with whoever joins. And 9 out of 10 people are joining with the intent of like, oh, I have a question. There is knowledge being shared because it also gets ranked in Google, and then people join that. The more modern version of that is Reddit. I think it's a platform you're all familiar with, especially if you're in community management or community building. But yeah, that's where it all started for me. Right now, I'm working for 5 years as a freelance consultant on community strategy, which includes everything from startups, scale-ups to established brands. And most notably, Loop Earplugs has been my biggest client. JBC, which is also in audio, and Red Bull, which is often very loud. People still like bulletin boards, obviously, and they like to huddle up and they like to talk to each other and share knowledge. And I think for a general definition of community management, or what a community really is, it's a highly engaged group of people where we as community professionals become part of the conversation and build trust and relations in the hopes that in the long run, they'll help us reach a specific brand metric we're aiming to improve. Whether that's awareness, whether that's organic UGC, referrals is also a metric sometimes, or the all-encompassing but slightly hard to visualize metric, word of mouth. A very simplistic pipeline, I guess, which is your audience, your community platform, and your brand metric, which I just said. And very simplistically, what I would like to talk to today about is those first two steps, how to draw people from your audience into your community platform. Because for us as community professionals, there's often pressure from higher management to go like, okay, yeah, draw in as many people and then monetize them or tie them to a specific revenue generating metric as fast as possible. I think platforms such as Discord, Slack, Reddit are great to engage and foster communities. Talkbase is a great platform for, as far as I can see, that kind of visualizes and provides insights to that higher management. But the question remains is, okay, like how do we get as much people as possible into that community platform? And my answer to that, my preferred way to that, is through social media engagement. Regardless of the company's size, if you're doing some sort of social media marketing, you hopefully have some sort of engagement. Otherwise, you'll have to poke your creative team or ask for more budget. And the way that we captivate that engagement is through Sprout. So I think that's already the end of my slide deck. That was easy. I'm just going to pull up my Sprout inbox and just go from there, because obviously time is of the essence. I just made a little demo page and I connected two of my main profiles to it, which is my Instagram and my Twitter, I think. X nowadays, because yeah, I don't use X anymore. I don't know how you guys is. It was horrible for community building the way I saw it anyway. But Instagram is also like, you yell into the void and you hope you get some sort of reciprocation or some sort of engagement. And especially as small social media creators or my clients, they often have larger budgets and larger efforts to generate content, post content, publish content. And in order to structure that, some companies will obviously opt for going outside of Meta's preferred social media management tools, which are horribly when it comes to UI. And they'll maybe opt for Sprout Social. Sprout Social is very simple in the regard that it'll give you a very nice onboarding protocol. Let's just call it like that. And some of those features that I think are essential for community builders and first-line community managers, or even customer service reps who use it to monitor social media. That's everything. That's everything that can be done through Sprout, and I want to kind of highlight the ones that I use in order to streamline my process into giving the people that I identify towards the people that I collaborate with on who manage community platforms, such as my Discord moderators, if you're in gaming and entertainment, for some. Exactly, yeah. Read Discord. I just saw the thing. I was distracted for a second. For example, a Reddit account. I don't think you can couple Reddit to this platform as of yet, but I was aware that they were thinking about it. But anyway, moving on to the features, your dashboard, if you're planning your content, if you have a social media team or you're doing it on your own, this is where you can find and set up your calendar. The most important feature I use is the smart inbox. And the smart inbox basically draws in every message from every connected platform into one feed. And might be overwhelming. As you can see on top here, I have 654 messages remaining, but that's just personal profiles. If you want to get rid of those, you just click mark complete. But this is what you'll get if you sign up for Sprout. This is a free trial as well. I am not directly affiliated with Sprout, so I don't have any referral codes to hand out. But in any case, if you sign up for a free trial, this is what you get. On the top bar, you can select your platform, and you can go over to which kind of messages you have. And obviously, for customer service reps, the direct messages of either platforms will be the most important ones. But the ones I like to look at and the ones I use on daily are mentions for X or reposts or quotes and comments on my organic posts. If I'm using them, you can always see that there's some people getting mentioned. In regards to my personal friends' data, please do not use these or go follow them for all I care. But if you hover over them, you'll be able to add them to a list. And this is one of the first and foremost features that I always use in no matter what context, no matter which client, is if I see somebody pop up that has positive interactions with our brand, that likes our what we do, likes our content, and they comment more than 5 to 10 times, whatever your threshold may be, I just add them to a list to engaged audience, for example. That list at the end of the month, I will pass through to whoever's in charge of reaching out to them, or if you're a small team, that's going to be you. Give it to the email marketing team if we get their consent, because GDPR in Europe is a thing. And basically give everybody the opportunity to join the community program as a response. So this is basically reactive community building. Proactively, you're going to be like, okay, if your CRM, if a person buys from you and they get noted in their CRM as, oh, they bought, usually an email flow starts up and then draws them in like that. This is slightly more informal, slightly more, there's less of an entry barrier to it. And the people have some sense of, oh, this is a personalized experience. Because if you're working for a slightly bigger brand, you may be having 300 to 500 comments a day. If you can spot like, oh, someone on a list has commented this and this and this, perhaps maybe it's valid critique. You can also talk to them like, hey, we saw you had this remark about our product or our service. Would you mind going slightly more in depth? And it's building those continuous positive interactions with your engaged audience that will build the trust that's needed in order for them to join your community. I hope that made sense. But that is why I use the VIP lists. That is why I use Sprout in general to discern those people, to identify those people. And then the next thing is what I do is obviously use those tags in order to categorize the sort of comments they've left. If I can recognize a certain behavior or a certain recurring term within the audience, most likely the community will also be aware of that and will be able to work together more closely with our community members in order to go like, hey, we saw some comments going about that, perhaps a content feedback thing. What do you guys think about that? You're our hardcore fans. How should we go about this? And it's building that, again, it's building that trust. It's building that, hey, I like your input on this. That could very well signal some major trends happening, a movement trend, a budding crisis situation, and it'll enable you to basically react and respond faster to stuff like that. So it's kind of a two-way street. Your community starts engaging with your audience starts engaging more with your community, and there's a transfer of knowledge, which dates back to the whole thing that where I started, is trading knowledge, because we're having a certain shared interest about it. Furthermore, you've got the labels, you've got your team conversation. If there's something that needs to be picked up within the team, an ongoing conversation with an ambassador that is managed through the public Instagram comment section. Yeah, it's easier to do it through this rather than going native on your phone or native through whatever platform you're using, and managing the conversation there. Other than that, view threads, you have a huge amount of data. I'm just sending memes. And again, going back to that, that's about the gist of it. Obviously, there's a reporting module. There's listening as well. I haven't been the biggest ambassador of listening because I haven't fed as much data into it as I've personally wanted. But I'm hoping Sprout in the future does build out that module. And other than that, that's it. That's a wrap up of what Sprout is being used for. If you guys have comments or questions about Sprout, if you guys have comments or questions about my view on community building, which is also a thing, feel free to go ahead and just fire away.
Thank you. That was really, really insightful. I'll be honest, I have not used Sprout before. So it's really interesting to see the ins and outs of it when you don't have an account. So yes, if anyone has any questions, pop them in the chat or feel free to come off of mute to ask this. But I have an initial question. So what are the unique selling points, would you say, of Sprout in comparison to using one of the other tools out there? Like I assume that you've used other ones and you prefer Sprout. So what, in your opinion, does it do really well?
I think the UI and the collaboration between the community teams, if you're having a community team and a social media team, which often tends to happen whenever your company exceeds 200 or 300 people, perhaps. I think Sprout has the upper hand when it comes to collaborating with the social media managers. Obviously, the content calendar is something that can be arranged within Sprout. It's easy for me to have a view of what's being planned. So in order we can, I think, adjust our messaging that we do or our customer service reps do within the comments section. Because if people have comments about a certain piece of content that came out, for example, a seasonal collection that dropped, or an announcement that has been made, it's easier for us to pick in on that and use the right verbiage without sounding like, oh, we weren't briefed about this during meetings. So internal workflows is one. Other than that, it's also, it has a couple of features in regards to auto tagging. So we do use it to further categorize the amount of content that we produce. And it's easier for us to give back to the social media team and say like, hey, you guys, obviously you have your calendar, but I also see that you guys are going heavy on this type of content. Is there a specific reason? So it gives us more, I think, more lenience and more context on what the social media team is doing.
Amazing. I saw that Simon raised his hand. Feel free to go and ask your question.
Thanks. So just as a background, actually, I started a company in Belgium 20 years ago. That
Oh,
was
look at that.
just, yeah, there you go. It was doing social media monitoring back when social media was just nascent, so there was blogs
Nascent,
and
yes.
it was blogs and forums that later evolved into Twitter and such.
True.
So my background is more or less on the listening side, less on the engagement side. But you mentioned the listening part. Um, do you think that the listening piece becomes more valuable as the company gets past a certain stage in their size? So, for example, I think the question really is around: is there a trade off with using a specific listening tool like Brandwatch, for example, versus
Also use
Sprout Social
Brandwatch, so
when
that's a
the
good example.
noise gets, say, too much? And
Hmm.
is Sprout Social more or less targeting on that SME world where there isn't so much? And then a follow-on question regarding the engagement piece. Um, is it covering all social media, or is it Instagram, Facebook, and like not LinkedIn, or is it pretty much you can hook it up to everything? So I hope those two questions are fair.
No, no, definitely. I've used Brandwatch before Sprout. So what I liked more about Sprout than Brandwatch was indeed those Brandwatch had all those feeds next to one another, which is their UI. Um, and then you had to manually configure your filters. Sprout just throws that all together and go like, okay, you just click the ones you want on and the ones you don't want, you click them off. Exactly to more filter that type of noise because I think one of the most recent examples I can think of is one of my clients is currently getting tagged in a lot of porn on Instagram. So they had their team working on okay filtering them out, but at the same time their social media manager was like, okay, I'll just click off the mentions and work the other way around. If somebody spots UGC they're tagged in from a profile that isn't following the account, they can just ping it back to the social media manager. So it's streamlining there. What I would personally I like the listening features of Sprout and the listening features in general is because I have context in order to and the more context I have, the better my messaging can get when I'm engaging, when I'm making content, sharing news articles, and then anything that pertains to the day to day of building your community. I think it was both. I'm very curious about which company you started in Belgium exactly 20 years ago. I can think of a couple, but
Well, I look, it was actually July 14th, so it's coming up to 20 years. I think it's still around, called Attentio. It was basically like the earliest
Atencia,
player.
yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah,
was
a
us.
very
Yeah,
early player.
very early player. We actually in Belgium, Engager kind of got more momentum than us, and they got bought by Clarabridge. But we were first, so to speak. You don't get medals for that, unfortunately, but we were first. And we just went maybe a bit heavy on the analytics. If I'm to look back, I later went to work with Giles and Brandwatch and had a few years there. So like I saw then what a scale up company would look like. So we were like we only got to like 1.2 million or something. We never went past that. So yeah, it's a space I enjoy, but I was
Definitely.
always interested by the engagement part and what that would mean for the industry. And of course, in subsequent startups, about the issue about how you engage, and Discord versus Slack versus whatever. Yeah.
Mhm. I think picking up on that, the second question is managing the tone of your communication. D-Ray asked that, and I think that is a very good lead on the chat we just had, is because one, the context. A lot of communities, and if you're starting out, I always go. There are shared interests. There are common interests within the internet space. One of the first online forums was started were Japanese people who liked trains. um, uh, if you're starting out as a company or you're trying to sell a product or a service, you first need to become part of that conversation and then learn the intricacies of how conversations are being held within that certain community, and then form your own tone, obviously, when engaging with that certain community, because it's basically the same in real life. You see a group of people you don't really know, but you know you want to talk to them. You enter your segue or try and find an angle on how to approach them. And the first thing that happens is there's the awkward moment of like, hey, there's someone new. So again, how to manage that is first listening, and getting that context, and then forming a message. Go like, oh, hey guys, I heard you were talking about this. I would like to join because I think I've got something to contribute. It's very marketing guru-ish. I'm talking right now, but I think that is the most simplistic way to say it.
It's fair. Look, I've been around now quite a while, and I've done a bunch of different industries, and I just mention it because I had a period of time at Supernova, which is a pretty well-known Czech startup in the design system space. So that's like selling to designers, and the language and body language and approach to that community is very different to selling to Martech, for example. You really need it's like you have to be completely unselling in your tonality. You've got to be very much look, when Figma were going to get bought by Adobe, you should have heard the outcry in the community because it felt somehow violated by this big company. Of course,
True.
Figma was already a $400 million business, but for some reason they'd managed to escape that connection because they were so community driven. And designers are a particular type, and the way you talk to them, communicate, has to be extremely careful. And we got burnt a bit by that initially, but then figured it out more or less. But it's to your point, it's that tonality, and it changes by industry, by adoption, by say timing, whatever it is. It's very very true.
It's
Also,
intricate.
by the way, David has, I think, asked a question as well.
Yeah. I think that was exactly. Yeah, going on that, Reddit and Discord, very informal with much different users. Okay, so there's you can obviously see there's a bit of a gap between there. That's good.
Yeah, it's interesting because you have to communicate differently on Reddit and on Discord than you do like on our own company, captive forums, because it's a different user, it's a different expectation. You just got to be careful to match your communication with the platform and the users that you're addressing.
Yeah, and are you experiencing an issue between switching the different tonalities, or is it is your team missing the mark sometimes?
Well, right now it's all me, but like
okay, it's all you. So
sometimes
how about it, Dave? How about
marketing wants to get involved in my Reddit responses, and I'm just like, if you want to do that, do it on a different user, because that's not what this account is for, right? Whereas maybe on our internal, our captive forums, that might be more appropriate, but on Reddit or Discord, it's not, right? Like those are communities you really don't want to quote.
Yeah, I don't want to poke a beehive.
Unquote to, right? Like if you have an account that's dedicated to that, that's fine. So people know what to expect, but you can't mix an informal kind of helpful communication with a marketing sales driven communication.
True.
So drawing those lines, I found to be very helpful.
Yeah, exactly. I think I've done a couple of deep dives with brands on how to structure those ways of communications, and especially when it comes to talking to specific target audiences. That's the usual way brands tend to go. They would just have different tones of different voices when we talk to different types of customers. Social media kind of threw that down in the trash, because Discord is very informal, very niche when it comes to the lingo, and especially when you're talking to younger audiences. I mean, I don't know any Gen Alpha or Gen Z slang anymore. I'm only 30 years old. I'm not keeping up. But at the same time, Reddit is then very technical, and then the minute you tell them one thing that might be against a common misconception, perhaps, is they'll try and correct you. So at some point, I mean, here's a little trick on how to build your Reddit. Just post a wrong comment and then see how people engage with that.
Yeah.
But that's a growth hacking trick, right? But no, definitely, I think it's good to keep it in mind that you draw a line somewhere there. Perhaps do it through different accounts. I think that is the most easy way to go about that. And the other point is actually try to host as many micro events as you can. I think Valentina could help you perfectly with that. To try to homogenize that whole feeling. Go like, oh, these people, there's an influx from Reddit, there's an influx from Discord, and there's an influx from your internal forums. And bringing those people together, sometimes that works out very well. Even though there might be some discussions early on. And go like, oh yeah, people start recognizing usernames pretty fast, pretty early on as well.
Yeah. And transitioning people from those external platforms, like getting people from Reddit or Discord to join your internal forums, the captive forums, is a challenge. You get a lot more value out of internal forums. You get their email address, you get the company they work for, all that stuff, and that's the stuff marketing really wants in sales.
Yeah, especially if you're in B2B and
yeah, we're B2B.
Okay, I'm correct. Especially B2B. Yeah.
But that's, people are sensitive about giving people that information. They don't want to necessarily give that up and sign up to our forums. So finding ways to make that organic and offer value is tricky.
In that regard, I think integrating it with your customer support processes or your workflows, and especially right now you're on your own, so this might be too soon, but I think whenever somebody asks you a question on either platform, I think that's a perfect example of go like, hey, I know, and especially if you're monitoring your internal forums, and perhaps through Sprout. I don't think they have PHP, VP, or Kafka support, but keeping track of those threads, perhaps you've made them yourself. There's a perfect possibility I could just like, one of our forum users answered this question, and you just link them the post. You don't ask them to join the forums, you just link them the post, and then like, oh wait, I can find more info on there.
Yeah, show
they'll make the decision themselves, right?
Right.
Talking about support, I would love to know, what kind of support does Sprout offer? Is there a community? Like if we today, all of us went and signed up for Sprout and we needed help, what's there to help us?
I have never used such a feature,
wow.
but there's a help. There's a help desk. For some people, for some of my clients, we have account managers, and they're also very well known about. They're very technical, but they all have this very humane approach to talking to their customers. So that's great. And then I think there are a couple of. I think Reddit actually has does it have a Sprout social Reddit? I'm not entirely sure. Doesn't seem like that, but oh yeah, does anybody use Sprout social on our social media? But I don't think there's a dedicated Reddit to it. However, yeah, I think being this long in the industry is kind of, there was nothing really new that was shown to me. So I felt very comfortable on, okay. Brandwatch was a platform I used. I enjoyed using it for the time I did, even though the points I definitely mentioned were obstacles to me. And then before that, I used a customer service software, which was gorgeous. I don't know if you know. No worries. I just saw, we used Gorgias because it was coupled to, the client was a Shopify web store, and they managed, and Gorgias had social media features. So basically what we did was, okay, just capture all that, but it didn't have, it just had tagging features, and that was somewhat And then every time somebody came in, we would always get their Shopify account or ask for the Shopify account. And then from there on out, see that, oh, this person is a big spender, or this person is very has a lot of has left a lot of comments in their history, and then go from there and go like, oh, hey, listen, you have a question about this. We really love your contribution to the brand. Would you like to join our customer community, or things like that, in a very straight line? But I'm very unfortunate. I think answering that question is feel free to ask me. Feel free to ask me. Or yeah, their wiki also has a lot of value to it.
Okay. I mean, having someone like you that can answer questions is amazing. So we'll make sure we keep that noted. What about pricing? Because let's be honest, if we're in the community team, a lot of community teams don't have too much budget. Some have no budget. What does this set us back? Is it free? Does it cost something? What's the deal?
There's obviously a trial period, but at some point, I think the professional trial is quite up on the high end. It's 400 a month for a professional plan. So that's definitely an entry barrier you should consider when signing up for it. I think there's for a lower price point or low entry, there's definitely alternatives. Although I can't really think of those, but I think it's definitely worth considering if you're having a dedicated social media team, which obviously belongs to brand or marketing or however your organization is categorizing that department. But as a full-on team expense with a couple of users, I think it's very manageable and for the multi-purposes that it has.
Great.
It's getting very dark here. I'm so sorry.
I was going to say, you're like blending into the background.
Yeah.
$1 million question for you. And if anyone else has any questions, please pop them in the chat or raise your hand. What would be a dream feature that they could release tomorrow that you would be really excited about?
Detection. They're not doing that much with those lists that I'm making. And I would love to use the lists as a main starting point of conversations that I'm having, or especially with AI, structuring everything in such a way that it feels natural for us to follow up on that. Tagging a person with, okay, this person has left the 5th comment in a row. They get added to a list. That list gets into my gets mailed automatically towards my colleagues in the customer community department. They have automatic. It goes on, right? It goes on, and I think, especially visualizing the potential community members that we could get out of social media engagement. If they would release features on that, I would be, give me another 100 seats or something like that. I guess I will fight for that budget.
That is very good to know. And actually, Stephen said, we use Sprout in the company I work for, and I personally love the tagging system. The automation could do some work, but still, it is useful.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree on that. Let me see if I can create a bit more light in here.
I was going to say, we can barely see you now. So aside the detection, because it seems like they don't necessarily do that very well, is there anything else that Sprout doesn't do well that maybe another platform does, in your opinion?
I think more backend integration, because right now, as it is, it's a very standalone social media thing, and it does social media very well, but it doesn't do anything else entirely, I think. For example, Gorgeous is a very rudimentary program, so it'll definitely have zero UI appeal to most community professionals. More customer service, customer experience professionals use that. Customer service reps use that. So very much of Gorgeous's appeal is the backend integration, because you have this, if you just integrate it with your Shopify or whatever your platform of e-commerce is. I'm in B2C, and go from there, and you'll have a complete view of what their Shopify profile is. I don't think Sprout necessarily needs that, because of it's aimed at social media managers, and social media managers don't really have to be in touch with customers that much. I think at some point we as community professionals are somewhere in between those two departments and go like, oh yeah, I'm the bridge, I build the bridge. So I think for whatever I saddle and for whatever tasks I saddle up my colleagues with that, or my operational community managers with that, Sprout is easy, it's perfect, comes at a price point, and does what it does best.
Does what it says on the tin, as
Definitely.
the saying goes. Amazing. Well, those are all my questions. I don't know if anyone else has any burning questions in the moment. Speak now or forever hold your peace. While you're thinking, if you want to get in contact with you to get some help with Sprout, or just, to connect, because we all love connecting as community builders, what's the best way for people to connect
My
with
LinkedIn.
you?
Yeah, my LinkedIn.
Amazing.
Definitely my LinkedIn.
I have that link there.
Yeah, I do have I check it at least once a day. But yeah, that's definitely the way I tend to reach out to more professional contacts. At the same time, I'm in gaming and entertainment, and in B2C. So I think B2B relations go slightly different about it, but I'm always happy to help wherever I can.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, right now it's very dramatic. It's giving very, it's like an actual interview.
It's not even that late, like where you are.
No, it's not.
Just...
It's
and it's summer.
And it's summer, right? And I'm here in Belgium, and I'm 2 floors up. Behind me it's raining, and in front of me it's the actual sun, because I'm faced east. It's so weird, but
it's a perfect lighting right now. It's really good. All right. Well, unless we have any more questions, I wanted to remind everyone that, of course, we're doing this every single month for 2024. And next month we have another event. It's on August 21st, and we're talking about the data visualization tool of Power BI. So come and join us for that. So yes, thank you so much for taking the time out of your very busy schedule, moving and all the things in between, to come and chat with us today. It's been really great. And of course, we are recording this, so people can catch the replay soon. That's it.
That's great. Thank you very much for having me. Again, yeah, hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm also, always down for Discord, Reddit talks. Especially my Discord is well built out. So
amazing. Great. Well, thanks everyone. Have a wonderful, what day is it? Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
Tuesday.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks,
Cheers.
everyone. Bye.
Simon, David.